The Adventure of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. Longman Simplified English Series. Read by Sirinthip Pengprasittipong. Chapter 8. Porter is arrested. Just before midday, the whole village was electrified by the shocking news. It was reported that a bloody knife has been found close to the murdered man. Somebody has recognized it and stated that it belonged to Porter. It was said that a villager delayed on his way home has come across Porter washing himself in a stream about 1 o'clock in the morning, and that Porter has at once caved off. These were suspicious circumstances, especially this washing, which was not a habit with Porter. Horsemen had gone in search down all the road in every direction, and the sheriff was confident that he would be captured before night. Of course, the pupils were given a holiday that afternoon. All the villagers were flocking to the graveyard. Tom Hurst's finished, and he joined the procession. The deathful place did him like a menace in spite of himself. Then somebody pinched his arm. He turned, and his eyes met Huckleberry's. Poor young fellow! This ought to be a lesson to grave robbers. Porter will hang for this if they shoot him. These were the general remarks. Now Tom shivered from head to heel, for he caught sight of the steam face of Redskin Joe. At this moment the crowd began to hurry forward, and voices shouted, "It's Porter! He is coming himself! Look out! He's turning! Don't let him get away!" People in the branches of the tree over Tom had said that he was not trying to get away, but that he only looked doubtful and lost. The crowd fell apart, and the sheriff came to leading Porter by the arm. The poor fellow's face was as white as a sheet, and his eyes showed the fear that was in his heart. When he stood before the murdered man, he put his face in his hands and burst into tears. "I didn't do it, friends," he moaned. "I swear I didn't do it." "Who accused you?" shouted a voice. Porter raised his head and looked around him with a terrible hopelessness in his eyes. He saw Redskin Joe and exclaimed, "Oh, Joe, you promised me that you never—" "Is that your knife?" asked the sheriff, thrusting it before him. "Porter would have forgotten if they had not shot him," he murmured. "Tell them, Joe, tell them. It's no use." Then Huckleberry and Tom stood dumb and standing, and heard the stony-haired lad make his statement. They expected every moment that the clear sky would deliver God's lightning upon his head, and wondered to see how long the punishment was delayed. When he had finished and still stood aloof and hold their wicks, intention to beat their oath and save the poor beast's personal life, fat and beneath, it was plain that these villains was under the protection of the devil, and it would be fatal to interface with the agent of such an awful power as that. He has now become the most horribly interesting person they had ever looked upon, and they could not take their eyes off his face. They inwardly resolved towards him at night, when they had an opportunity, in the hope of catching sight of his dreadful master. Tom, fearful, secret and troubled conscience, disturbed. He slept for a week after this, and at breakfast one morning she says, "Tom, you talk in your sleep so much that you keep me awake half the night." Tom paced and dropped his eyes. "It's a bad sight," says Aunt Polly. "Was it worrying you, Tom?" Nothing, that I know of." But their boy's hand shook so much that he spilled his coffee. "And you do talk such queer nonsense," Sis continued. "Last night you said, 'It's bad, it's bad.' That's what it is. You said that over and over again." Aunt Polly came to Tom's relief without knowing it. "It does. Dreadful mother," she says. "I dream about it almost every night himself. Sometimes I dream that I did it." Every day or two during this time of sorrow Tom went to the prison, a little big building at the edge of the village. When he had a chance, he slipped small comforts, such as tobacco and match, through the barred window to the murderer. This gave gentle health to his Tom's conscience. The villagers had a strong desire to whip Redskin Joe for body snatching, but he was regarded as such a dangerous scoundrel that nobody was willing to take the lead in the matter, and so it was given up.